Israelis took over the downstairs of Trump Towers in protest of the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil and to ensure that we have the right to protest, that we have the right to have freedom of expression, and sort of in opposition to everything that the Trump regime is doing to our democracy right now.
For more on this, we're joined by Giorgio Cafiero, the CEO of Gulf State Analytics and an adjunct assistant professor at Georgetown University. He's joining us live from Washington. Giorgio, how significant is it that this protest was organised and led by a Jewish organisation who are essentially saying that arresting demonstrators and activists is how repressive and authoritarian regimes start out?
Yeah, thank you. Good to be with you. Good to be on your program. You know, the Trump administration is very focused on trying to clamp down on pro-Palestine solidarity activism on university campuses and this type of activism across the board. And this is being done under the banner of combating anti-Semitism, protecting the safety of Jewish students on university campuses. And I think it's very powerful to see some of these organizations who are led by Jewish Americans who are themselves very much in solidarity with the people of Gaza and also in solidarity with voices around the United States who are choosing to protest the U.S.'s policies of supporting the Israeli genocide in Gaza. It goes to show that there are certainly many, many Jewish Americans who disagree with this notion that simply being in solidarity with the people of Gaza constitutes a form of anti-Semitism.
Should ordinary Americans or other people living in the US, like Mahmoud Khalil, who has a green card, should they be worried that Khalil will be used as a test case to crack down on lawful protests and free speech and essentially put their immigration or citizenship at risk?
Well, I think the short answer is absolutely yes. You know, I am not a scholar of immigration law or constitutional law, and what's going on with Mr. Khalil, whether this is even legal or not, is something that a legal expert should come onto the program to comment on. But what I can say is that from the standpoint of freedom of speech, and the Supreme Court has ruled in the past that First Amendment free speech rights are ones that lawful permanent residents, green card holders, certainly are entitled to in the United States. The concern, the very valid concern, is that the administration is trampling on freedom of speech. And this gentleman who recently graduated from Columbia might be the first of many who have spoken out against the genocide in Gaza who will face these types of legal repercussions. And I think everyone, including people who don't even care about Palestine or people who have all kinds of opinions about Palestine, should be concerned, because it sets a very dangerous precedent where people who voice opinions that are at odds with the views of those in the Trump administration can be subject to these types of punishments. This goes to the heart of issues surrounding freedom of speech, way beyond just the single issue of Palestine.
And we know that Mahmoud Khalil is now being held in custody in Louisiana, of course, very far away from his family, from his wife. And he hasn't been charged, but he's being held under a rarely used immigration law. Why do you think he was targeted? There had, after all, been widespread protests involving thousands of people going on for months across America.
Well, I would assume that Rubio and others in the administration are trying to make an example out of him. He is someone whose story everyone is focusing on right now. He's not being charged with any crime. It's, as you pointed out, there's this old Cold War era law from a statute from 1952, which gives the Secretary of State the authority to deem a green card holder deportable for expressing certain ideas that are seen as, by the Secretary of State, seen as undermining U.S. foreign policy interests. And I think because of his activism, the role he played as an activist at Columbia, they want to simply make an example out of him and probably deter other young people on campuses all over the country from engaging in any type of activism. This is clearly a war on Palestine solidarity activism across the United States that we're seeing right now.
Okay, Giorgio Cafiero, thank you so much for joining us on TRT World.